Welcome to this month's Be in Brunswick. I'm your host, Shannon Vieira, President of the Brunswick County Chamber of Commerce, and we have a great show for you today. We're going to go to Ocean Isle Beach and talk with owner of a frame or two, Joanne Pope, about framing. And then we're going to be here at Waccamaw School where we're going to talk to the Friends of Rachel Club. So stay tuned and enjoy this month's Be in Brunswick. Welcome. I'm here with the owner of a frame or two, Joanne Pope. Joanne, welcome. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for coming.
Joanne's been our official chamber framist for as long as I've been at the chamber, so about it's almost 6 years now. So we're excited to be here to kind of talk about your shop and tell us what you do here and what makes you stand out beyond other types of framing. So we brought our Oyster Festival print in from this past Oyster Festival that we always have come framed with you every year as sort of a kind of talk me through how someone would come in and do get this frame. So what would you start? How would we start this?
Well, I would usually always welcome someone to my shop, tell them I'm the owner, I'm Joanne. What is your name? Right.
Right.
And they always bring stuff here, and I said, well, you have some artwork to frame. So every art has a story. So what is the story behind this? That's my first question. Okay. And then after that, I want, if you can describe to me where it might be hanging.
All right.
So those two things.
Well, so it's from the Oyster Festival, and you've done many of these for us, and we are going to hang it on, right now it's hanging on our wall at the office. When you first walk in, it'll be kind of almost the first thing you see. So kind of directly in right behind the office front area there. So
front and center.
Front and center, yes.
Okay.
And this one stands out from all of our other ones because this one was at night, and
right.
The artist Keith White's never done a night scene before, so I think just by itself it's going to be a standout piece just because of that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, the next process that we would do after we establish the story behind the art is we mentioned that there's always options in framing. We always want to make the artwork stand out.
Okay.
It's never really meant to match your couch or your door pulls. It's meant to match the art.
Okay.
And when you combine everything together, it enhances the artwork. It doesn't argue with it because you can do wrong compositions. But color is very personal, and this is what inspires the imagination. Mm-hmm. And people see different things in colors, but that's where it's in the custom framing. So everything we do here is full custom. We can match it to your decor, the style. We can choose the colors that you like best. So I have gone ahead, because you told me you were coming with this.
Yes.
I picked out a couple of different elements
okay.
This gets down to your personal choice. And usually it takes about 30 minutes to go through the whole presentation. And then we narrow it down and we go through the pricing. So you have the choice of the mats, you have the choice of the glass that goes on it, and you have the choice of the frame.
Okay.
And we work within people's budgets, and we also work according to the value of the artwork.
All right.
So some things are irreplaceable.
Right.
They get special treatment. Which we can talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Because this isn't one of those, although I use mats that are lignin-free and acid-free. Mm-hmm. The term acid-free has not even been used in the framing industry for 5 or 6 years because it's really abused out in the market. Okay. So these are not only acid-free on what you see, they're acid-free all the way through, and they're lignin-free, which means they're made from wood pulp, so obviously it's going to deteriorate over time. The worst value or the worst quality of the mats will deteriorate on the artwork. Oh. So when people bring them in and they say, well, I had this frame 30 years ago, I usually always know because the mats, the bevels will not be white. They won't be white like this, like that.
Oh, yeah.
They will be brown or they will be
like that right
molded.
Oh, wow.
And
I've
so,
seen some of those probably in some old family photos
yes,
in my house.
Yeah. Well, when the matte edges start turning the color of that cardboard there, you know you got a problem. So we deal with mats that don't deteriorate like that. It's a bit of an upscale from the cheaper products, but we have a motto: we make your memories last.
All right.
So we use products that are adequate and and comparable for the value of the art.
So what colors did you pull out for us today?
Okay, well, it fits right in these little crevices right here,
Okay.
so it'll kind of go right in there.
And maybe this one.
Now with the prints, we usually leave a little bit of the white border because
Okay.
we are going to leave the title
That's
here.
right.
Right. And this is just a more of a neutral
Oh, I like
color,
that.
and that'll go in basically any decor. Now this frame here, I pulled out because it
that's-
matches the
Oh,
trees.
that's pretty.
and it's-
oh, it's like it's kind of almost got the
right,
same ridges in there.
Right, it's got, you know, and so it brings out the artwork but doesn't compete with it.
Right.
That's always the biggest part.
And you have this one as
And this
well.
one is more contemporary, and it also, you know, would work with the frame.
Now,
It's
do
just
you-
much smoother, much more
Do
contemporary.
you always recommend a double matte? Kind of with
I
the
always
double?
do,
That's-
sometimes triples. I pulled out a lighter colored mat here, but it was arguing with it, so your eye stopped right there. So this kind of is adequate. This is good.
So what happens after all right, let's say, I kind of like this one, I think, because I
Okay.
really like the way, I like the lighter color outside. So what happens
Okay.
next after we've picked out our mat and our frame? So we
All
leave
right.
it with you and then we come back for it, or how's
Well,
the
we
process?
usually work in about a 10-day window. So I order the mats, and they're all custom ordered
Okay.
and custom framed. Sometimes people have concerns about where they're going to hang it, the
Right.
spaces, and that will determine how wide the mats are. The companies that make these mats, they're always 4 inches, but the mats come as big as a table,
Right.
so we customize them and cut them to fit.
So you alluded earlier about preservation framing. Can you tell me what the difference is between just something that I brought in like this that's, mass produced?
Well, this is a limited edition print, so it's going to get a little bit special treatment, but not full
Right.
bore. So when we have something that is priceless, like needle art that your great grandmother did, I've done gobs of those things. Marriage certificates from the 1800s, property deeds. I've done Civil War documentations and things. And so when we deal with those types of things that are either materially providentially expensive or they're irreplaceable in terms of the person that did them is deceased, something
Right.
like that. So we switch from the acid-free, lignin-free mat boards to mat boards that are 100% cotton through and through.
Okay.
And they don't ever deteriorate in the frame. And they'll be, bevel cut like that.
Yeah.
So anything that is, this is the part that will touch the art. And this is what we use. We mount them on thicker mounting boards, which are also 100% cotton instead of foam core.
Oh, okay.
So the actual artwork gets put right on here, and then the mats go in the top. And
And you don't use any special glues or anything like that. Depending.
preservation framing, yeah, the definition of preservation framing is that the state of the original art is not altered in any way. You don't use tapes or glues. It depends on what it is. When it's needle art, it will get mounted to a sturdy board like that. If it's a magazine, like we did over there, it will get wrapped up. No tapes, no glues, no hinges. And the purpose of that is if it ever needs to be taken apart again, there won't be any changes at all to the original artwork. So you don't even put glues. Even when you're taking a photo or a picture or a marriage certificate, like I mentioned, you don't hinge it with
Right.
glue. It goes in a different process.
What's an interesting piece that you've done before that you found kind of maybe challenging or interesting? Because I know you and I talked about
Yes,
some of
I've
those.
done lots of them. This was a couple years ago. This person brought in some hand-carved whalebone clothespins.
Whalebone clothespins.
They were actual whalebone
Oh.
from the 1850s that a Native American had carved from the outside waters of Alaska, somewhere beyond the Kodiak Islands.
Oh, wow.
And there was clothespins and a whistle and a pizza cutter, all hand carved out of whalebone. And that required a lot of, because they were objects, they weren't flat, they were
Right.
three-dimensional. So it does challenge the preservation capacity to keep them really preservation. But we have very special little tools. Those got wrapped with little pieces, little skinny pieces of this polypropylene. It's what the Smithsonian uses to mount things, and so they weren't glued or taped or
Oh, wow.
they sat on the back of the mounting board, and you could see them in like a shadow box,
Yeah,
right?
very cool.
Yeah. So that was one of the most unique things that I have ever done. Those hand
And you
carved
do
whale bones.
and you do everything in your shop here.
We do everything
You have-
here.
this
We
is
cut
your-
the glass, we cut the mats, we put the frames together, we customize them for all the people, and we really want them to look much better when they go out than when they come in. So that's a goal too, and respect the personal choices of the colors and the things like that. When it comes to the preservation framing, it takes a little more education, so we spend a little bit more time. And I have a lot of samples to show people what's involved, because cosmetically you would not see the difference between something that was framed wrong and something that was framed with preservation in mind. It's not about the frame in that particular instance. That's where it's about the art itself.
And I think that's where you stand out as a framer, is that you take the time to know the difference in those, and you have special certificates and,
Yes.
education to help you know what the most trending thing is for those type of things. Is that right?
Yes. I am a certified picture framer, and it's part of the Professional Picture Framers Association. And it requires a solid 6 to 9 months of study. 13 different study books have to go into the consideration of the preservation framing. And there's a lot of challenges when it comes to personal shadow boxes, memory boxes, because they can put objects in there along with artwork, or prints along with needle art, objects. I've done a train track, actually a part of a train track, and he had a little tiny train on it. You know, there's just all kinds of things to make them very personal. I did a wedding gown that was recycled from this woman's great-great-grandmother. They recycled it, and the woman that brought it in, her daughter used it as her christening gown. So we put that in the shadow box with the picture of her grandmother in that dress, and then the
that's
picture of
wonderful.
the little girl in the dress as well, with the booties and the hat and the whole thing. So it was very touching. That kind of thing is very touching.
So Joanne, if people want to find you, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Well, I'm at 6810 Beach Drive, which is halfway between the two lights in Ocean Isle. That's what they call the causeway and the light there. And then I have a website, which is aframer2.com. And this is where I have quite a bit of information in there on the aspects of preservation framing. But this is my 20th year, so I've been doing this a while. And so they can check that out.
How about your phone number?
That is 910, of course, 575-7567.
Wonderful. Again, thank you again, Joanne.
Thank you for coming.
I had noticed Lincoln Elementary School had a whole bunch of garden beds that were elevated, or not elevated, they were raised garden beds off the ground. One of their teachers had done a lot of work, and a lot of students, a lot of regular education students were out there working in these gardens during the morning, during the afternoon, and I just had the idea that none of our children in our special education department had access to that because they're so low to the ground. Some of our children with motor impairments that need wheelchairs couldn't access them either, reach them. So I started researching elevated beds for them to be able to do the same thing that their typically developing peers were doing. Right now there's 9 schools. One school got 2 beds, and then the other 8 schools got each 1 bed. Hopefully in a couple years every school's going to have a bed and multiple beds. First of all, they're learning a ton of things. In the beginning, it was just following directions, building these beds. In the Accessible Agricultural program, they're going to be learning basic parts. In middle school, it's different with Common Core standards. They're going to be learning basic parts of a plant, photosynthesis. And in high school, of course, it would be a little bit more advanced than that. But it's all about agriculture. So everything from following directions, planting, digging, using their hands, motor activities, what a plant needs to survive. It's so heartwarming. I want to cry every time I think about it. I do. I'm sorry. It just, how generous AT&C has been. I've gotten grants from them in the past, a grant, but nothing like this. And just their support has, we wouldn't have been able to do it without them.
Welcome back. We're here at Waccamaw School talking with Amber and Todd. Both of them are with CIS. Amber's the success coach here at Waccamaw, and Todd is the communications manager at CIS. And we're here to talk about Rachel's Club, a little bit about this. So tell me about what you're doing here today.
Well, this is the Friends of Rachel Club. It's based off of Rachel Scott, who's the first victim of Columbine. So it's an anti-bullying initiative. It is based off of her journals and her acts of kindness and compassion, and they reflect that type of behavior in their school and in their community. So today they're working on volunteer appreciation flower pots, and that's something that they've been planning, and it's student-driven, student-led. There's team leads, there's the younger students kind of follow the team leads. They come up with their own ideas, they put them together, and they distribute them in the community.
How long has Friends for Rachel Club been here at Waccamaw?
This is the second year that I believe it's been active. This is my second year here. No, I take that back. It's been 3 years because it was here a year before I got here. So this is my second year running it for the Waccamaw family.
So who initiated the club? Who was the first to decide to do that?
That would be a question for Ms. Chestnut because it was before I came in. So when I came in as the success coach, they had a group going, but they didn't have a lot of staff that would have the time, and it just kind of fell into something that I would be able to take up, and I took it up, and they're up and running.
Tell me some of the other activities that you do in the Friends for Rachel Club.
They talk about kindness and compassion. We have an announcement every morning that goes out with links of kindness, and the links of kindness are something that the students write in their classrooms, and when they write them, it's what they're doing good for either their family or the community. So they're reflecting upon their own good deeds and their acts, but we're also announcing those every morning in the announcements so the kids get kind of affirmation and they have that positive reinforcement. And then when they do that, we count them, and by the end of the year, the winning class gets a pizza party. They took over 60 gift bags to Novant Hospital for anybody who might have been ill or sick over the holiday and not able to spend time with family. And they actually provided snacks and food for the staff at Novant as well. So that was one of the bigger projects that they did this year. Last year, they did a fundraiser where they took the proceeds and donated it to the Sheriff's Animal Shelter. And in school, they made Christmas ornaments for all the staff, not just teachers, all the staff, like bus drivers, custodians. They did the valograms, which were just like little things, to give to students, but we opened it up to the family and the community, so the parents got involved. The parents were sending them, grandparents were sending them. It's just a really nice way for them to kind of think outside of themselves and think outside of the box and to promote their own acts of kindness, but also, as they said, as you heard earlier, they say that they're the link in the chain reaction, and it's kind of like a pay it forward concept, but they become aware that they are that link, and we tally those links, and those links are physically put together, and they're sitting in my office right now. So at the end of the school year, we're probably going to have them walk them around so the kids can get a visual element of their,
How
acts.
long do you think the links will be?
I'm not quite sure. Right now I think we're at 810 links, which isn't as much as we had last year, but we have a lot more hands-on activities that we're doing. So they're working as hard as they can. Hopefully we hit the 1,000 mark. Our goal was 2,500, and that's going to be a goal that they're going to keep working at it. But this year, we've got a lot of 4th and 5th graders in the program, where last year I had a lot of 7th and 8th graders. So it's different. The dynamic is based on the skill set of the students, what they want to do and what they want to see. So last year we had a lot of animal lovers in the program, which is one of the reasons why we donated to the sheriffs.
And what's the age group of the children that can participate in the club?
2nd through 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
So it's a
pretty much
big range.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's open to any students that I work with here at Waccamaw.
And how many children are participating that you have on the books for this year?
Actively right now, we've got between 25 and 30 that attend on a weekly. We had 46 registered.
And Todd, I know this is a partnership between CIS and Brunswick County Schools.
Yes.
Is that right?
The Friends of Rachel Club is a partnership between Brunswick County Schools and CIS. We always work together to try to broaden the students' education horizon, help them learn how to outreach into the community. We have to instill that in them.
And I know your CIS coaches, they all are in all the middle schools, if I'm not mistaken, and they all kind of have their niche thing that they like to do with the kids. And this it seems to be Amber's kind of passion just from talking with you. Am I right?
I'm naturally creative, and I guess I want to inspire the kids to think outside. You know, not every student gets everything that they need or they want, you know, and it's an anti-bullying initiative above all things. So teaching them kindness and compassion and getting them to think outside of themselves. You might not see it in one visit, you might not see it in two, but the point of Rachel's Challenge is to create a long chain of reactions that overall will change the atmosphere and the environment within the school.
And I heard a student say a little bit ago, they want to be the spark that ignites the change. It's amazing. That came from a student. So you can see from the volunteers, the teachers that are involved, it's a great program. They all want to give back and help the kids be successful.
So tell me, I see you have a book here, so there's obviously a manual to help you kind of do the program. So do y'all stay pretty consistent, or do you you said you like to be creative, or do you get a little
the Friends
outside?
of Rachel curriculum was actually created to be able to adapt to the needs of the school, because no school is, like, our schedules are all different. And the curriculum, it comes in different levels. There's an elementary level, there's a middle school level, and there's a high school level. And Waccamaw is a unique school because we have elementary and middle combination. So technically, I've merged two parts of the program. I've got the KC, which is the Kindness and Compassion Club, paired with the Friends of Rachel Club. The older students who are from the Friends of Rachel part, they kind of act as mentors to the younger students. They still actively participate, but for them it's more about leadership. It's more about kind of, can they take the initiative? Can they inspire those other students? Because they're getting ready to go to high school. So at that point, you know, it's different when you're teaching elementary kids because they still have the nuance of what kindness is. And a lot of the older kids, sometimes they struggle with that because they themselves are victims of bullying, and they struggle with their homework. And this is kind of like a relief where they can give back. And some of the students that I work with on an individual, on a tier 3 level, like in the Action for Success program that I do at Waccamaw, are put into Friends of Rachel to help boost their confidence, or to boost, their leadership, or to give them something that they feel connected to. And it often can create a behavior change on that side too. So it's got a lot of different elements and components to it.
For people that are watching the show, they're going to be watching it in a few months. Is there any way that the outside community could help you? Is there things that you need?
Yeah, definitely. Right now we have an active participation from a lot of Crow Creek residents and from the South Brunswick Island Rotary. Those are where a lot of the volunteers for the Action for Success here at Waccamaw come from. Right now, I would love to open that up to anybody else who would come to, join the Waccamaw family. It's not just the Friends of Rachel. There's a lot of other programs that I run. I do some behavior initiatives. I do in-school group tutoring. I do after-school tutoring, and there's also peer court that is done once a month. So there's lots of volunteer opportunity at Waccamaw and lots of programs that they could find a good fit with.
I have found Brunswick County has a lot of kind-hearted people that want to volunteer and give back. Sometimes they just have a hard time deciding what they want to get involved in.
And we're not that far out. I think the community thinks that we're like all the way up towards Waccamaw Lake. We're not. We're, it's only about 15 minutes from Charlotte. So
it was 9 miles down 130. And
yeah.
I timed it coming over here, so I saw that.
And I remember when I was doing a presentation out in the community earlier this year, somebody was like, "Oh, you're like 45 minutes away." And I'm like, "No, we're not." Like, I think that's something that's very important for them. Like, we need volunteers, not just in my programs, but 4th and 5th grade can use, tutors and proctors during testing. Waccamaw could always use a helping hand.
Is there, yes.
In addition to Waccamaw, we have success coaches located all across the county in every middle school, and now Supply Elementary also. So if anybody wants to get involved, and maybe they don't want to come down to Waccamaw, which is a great program, they can plug into other schools. As we said, mentors, tutors, even lunch buddy. You can come out and eat lunch with a kid once a week, even once every 2 weeks. It's fine. Any way you can get involved, we can help you get involved and change a student's life.
Awesome. And we'll plug up the numbers on the screen so people know how to kind of get in touch with you all. I'm sure they probably need to go through CIS to get plugged in.
And that would be something Todd could give you.
All right, so I think you've identified a few students that we could talk to today that kind of get their impression of how they feel about the program and what they get out of it. So let's go talk to the kids. is a 7th grader here at Waccamaw.
Yes.
Is that right? What's your favorite subject?
Math.
Math. All right. And so why are you in the Friends for Rachel Club? What do you like about it?
Just that it's kindness, anti-bullying, and just being part of the chain reaction and spreading kindness.
How do you like to spread kindness? What's your favorite way?
It just depends. I mean, I can't really have a favorite. So, I mean, I like drawing. I like hugs.
Hugs are great. I love hugs too. That's a great way to show kindness. So how long have you been in the program?
I have been in the program for only this year, actually.
This is your first year? How did you hear about the club? How did you hear about it?
My stepmom told me, and it's awesome. And it's just awesome.
Yeah, so you've enjoyed it? Awesome. So I want to say thank you, James, for being on the show, and enjoy 7th grade.
Well, thank you.
All right. So I'm here with Faith, and Faith, you're in what grade?
4th grade.
4th grade. What is your favorite subject in 4th grade?
Reading.
Reading. How many books have you read this year? Any ideas?
Close to 20.
20? That's a lot. That's awesome. What's your favorite book?
Probably it's gotta be one of the, I don't know.
That's okay. You like to read a lot of books. That's really good. So you're in the Friends of Rachel Club. So what do you like about the club?
It's like helping other people to understand how it's nice and it's to do nice and not to do mean, and it's showing, and like you'll start a chain reaction and show other people to be like good and stuff.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to show kindness?
By helping out with the Friends of Rachel and making other people smile.
Yeah, that's a great way to make people smile. How long have you been in the club?
This is actually my first year because I'm in 4th grade now, and she only takes 4th grade.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So you just got to be part of it. That's great. What are some of the projects that you've done?
We have made cards for people, and for Christmas we had made plastered flowers. And we also we've made the for the people that volunteer here, we've made the flower pots for them because they care about us. And so also we've made a lot of stuff for other people, and we've made plaster hearts for the people that were in the school shooting in Florida.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. What's been your favorite project so far? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah,
Which one?
the plaster hearts.
The plastic hearts. That's really nice. So I'm here with Susan, a mom and a volunteer here at Waccamaw's Friends of Rachel Club, I'm sorry. So we wanted to kind of get a perspective from you as a parent, how it's affected your child and what, if it's been a positive effect on her, and just being, and plus being a volunteer as well.
Well, as far as my daughter, it's really helped with her confidence and her initiative, getting up and doing things. We do try to teach them anything worth doing is worth doing well. So here for the club, when she got involved, it really helped her come out of her shell, helped her stand on her own, and not give in to so much peer pressure. As a volunteer, I am able to be involved with a great group of kids. It's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
And to see them come in and become a team is really wonderful, not only to watch, but be involved in.
Well, I know that CIS, Brunswick County Schools, Waccamaw School would not be able to do half the things they do without wonderful volunteers like yourself. So
Well, thank you.
As a parent, I give back as well, and I know how much it's appreciated. And as a person that loves having volunteers help her, thank you so much for doing that.
Well, thank you.
And it sounds like it's a really great program for the kids. And
It
they seem
is.
to be getting a lot out of it.
It is, and it's growing every year.
That's what I've heard, is that it's gotten bigger and bigger every year. So.
Yes, it has.
Well, thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.